Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome to Why We're Not Recording This, episode 1? 2. Oh yeah, we did an episode last week. Yeah, that's true.
Straight off the bat.
Straight off the bat. It'd be like that sometimes. But yeah, episode 2. And Nate and Katie. So yeah, where do we begin? Actually, we can start off from last week, or the last episode, should I say. Because we spoke about how we actually were, because it started off with, how was your week? And then from there, it just went and we spoke for about over half an hour.
Yeah.
Do you think it's normal? Or is it acceptable?
For us, yes, that's a normal amount of time to spend thinking about that question.
Yeah.
Especially because we're just not saying it in a passive kind of way.
Yeah.
Like it's a very big question when we ask each
Yeah,
other.
it is.
How have you been? How are you? How was your week? How was your day?
Yeah.
How was your morning? Like we can
Yeah.
boil it down in so many different ways, but like we know coming from each other that is like quite a big question to ask. You can spend quite a lot of time pondering on it.
Yeah. No, that's true. Well,
Yeah.
amongst us, it's not just as simple as saying fine, because as we were talking earlier, like, I think we don't necessarily reveal how we actually are when someone's like, oh yeah, how are you? How was your day? We don't reveal it. We just think, oh, let's put on the mask and just say everything was fine and just simplify it. Mm-hmm. And maybe you don't want pity from the person, or you just kind of, I think it goes to the conversation about expectations. I think it's tied in with expectations. I could be wrong, but it's expectation of, okay, you know what, if I'm talking to this person, they expect to be fine, or they know this version of me. Yeah. So saying I'm fine kind of puts a mask, and then it's like, I can live in that world. And then other people that you socialize with, when they ask you, oh, so how are you? You might actually reveal more. Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, I'm differentiating like people you might work with and see a lot of the time more often than you see your friends. You know, people that you see on a daily basis in that kind of environment, you kind of keep it like a... I don't know, because I say you kind of keep it. I actually don't. I'll always answer that question.
Yeah.
I'll always like think about it and be like, yeah, it's been all right. And I don't ask people how their day was. I like, as soon as I go into work, I like that, how's your morning?
Yeah.
How's your morning or how's your evening? I just think are really good questions, and people are kind of like, oh, it's a bit different. Like, how are you generally?
Yeah, but see, okay. Oh, you know what? I'm such a hypocrite. To be fair, it's it's not even being about. It's not even being about like being a hypocrite or anything like that. In the sense of, I feel like I've got an alter ego as such, if you want to put it like that, and that goes back to the mask, because maybe I myself I wear the mask because I feel like when I'm in the corporate environment or the work, I'm a different person than I am when I'm with the homies, if that makes sense.
How different we talking?
How different we talking? Quite, like, it's almost as though the emotional side is suppressed.
Okay.
It's almost as though it's being on autopilot. Well, not necessarily, because obviously you met with different things, but yeah, I don't know if you know what I mean. Like, I don't know if I'm explaining it right, but like, not that I'm wearing a mask of being a certain person or whatever. I'm still me, but at the same time, it's like certain aspects are kind of not necessarily
necessary for a work environment.
But see, that's where I am right now in my mind, is that should you just be transparent?
Interesting question.
So rather than suppressing that, because then like as far as me, so because obviously I've got the corporate world, 9 to 5, spend most of my time there. Then I come out. When I come out, I feel like I need to reject my frequencies to come back to earth, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. I mean, yes, it makes sense. I don't relate to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what my brain.
My corporate world is like really creative.
Yeah, true. Because that's what. Yeah,
so
I get it.
When we're in work, it's like because as someone in work was saying the other day that we have an office job without being in the office. So like we go and teach, and then we come back to this office, and we do like admin work and all of that kind of stuff. But as like creative people, I feel like we're all we're all like frustrated by being in that space, so we do whatever we can, and the conversation is really free flowing, and the conversation is like there's a lot of comedy in the office, like just stupid humor, because we're supposed to go out and be so professional with students, and then in the office we're just so dumb. Like it's a really nice balance. So I thought this the other day, and I just thought like how lucky I am to actually work in an environment where you can have those conversations, which I don't think would be the norm in the traditional corporate environment, but have no perspective on it.
No, but see, okay, maybe it also sounded like, yo, I work in a shitty place, but no. That is definitely not what I'm saying. I do. I like them. I go down with all of them, but it's just the sort of maybe certain sides of my life or certain things like going back to how are you? Or working like just typically I'm good, blah blah blah. How are you? Blah blah blah. But then again, it's like, do you actually want to know?
Yeah, and that's the side of the coin, because that question is perceived to be small talk, like the smallest of talk. How are you is kind of like a.
But I think it's not. See, that's the thing. Like that's like for me, it's like, are you worthy of knowing? I'm joking. I am joking. Yeah, sorry, just 1 second.
No, good catch.
But yeah, like I'm like I'm joking. By the way, that's not how I move. But it's a funny one. But like just going back, I guess the overview is that's what's expected actually. Well, from my expectations, that's what I'd like. But it's okay. Yeah, that's what I'd like. But it's okay because as humans, we have our own tendencies and our own habits.
Yeah.
And over time, that's where essentially it came from. It's like over time, we learn to let go of certain things or certain masks. And I guess maybe that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
In terms of...
So just go back to expectations just for a minute. So if your expectation is... It changes over time with what's expected, especially from that question. So that question of, how are you? If we're brand spanking new, but like, okay, let's just imagine a world where we're brought into the world as adults with no agenda, no nothing, like we just
no conditioning, just clean slate.
That's the one. And someone says, how are you? You'd be like, okay, how are you? Okay, so I'm going to actually think about that. It would take ages to answer that question.
Because then you can evaluate from the physical all the way to the mental.
And so you'd be talking for days about that, and then you'd be like, oh, and how are you?
Yeah.
But like we've been ground down to thinking that that's just a really passive question, and so the expectation has been ground down by conditioning.
It's a fast pace.
Yeah, to assume that question is just like, oh, you're right, which is the same thing.
Yeah,
you're right, like that as a question, and it's like, oh, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
We'll move on. Cool.
When that question of like, are you all right, is kind of like, it's a huge question. Yeah. And someone who worked the other day said that they hated the question of how are you, because they hate small talk, and it's just.
But it's not. Yeah, it's not small talk though.
Talk.
I don't think it's small talk. But then again, it's not. It's now to the person actually answering the question. Like, do they perceive it as small talk, or do they expect that the other person is not gonna want to listen to actually how they are?
And that is the difference between being at work and being with.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that's
the difference at work is that you just will. It's not like. I'm talking about how much I love my work environment and the people who work.
No, same here. I do.
Give them the same response that I'm going to give you guys. Because like, if I asked you how you are and you were like, yeah, fine, how are you?
Yeah, exactly. And essentially, that's basically where I'm at. It's because obviously, I'm going to go back to the book I'm reading, Leader Without a Title. Sorry, but like that's once again it goes back to, you know what? When I reflect, it's like, you know what? I need to be the example I want to see. And if you want to put it in religious terms, treat people how you want to be treated. And then everything else is just going to unfold how it's supposed to. So I guess I'm in the process of weaving through that. So yeah, it's we ended up talking about, we can... well, yeah. Oops. It was a continuation from last week, yeah. But essentially, I think it's essentially the basis of why we're not recording this. Because we have a lot of these conversations where we all learn from each other and like each one teach one, and we're all here to inspire. That's how we evolve to a certain extent. So yeah, that's one of the reasons. And
And hilariously, that's one of the questions we ask each other all. Like,
Yeah.
as a whole collective of us, that's the question that's
And then we
asked
spend
all the
hours,
time.
hours talking about that, and then you're like, actually, you know what? So this is what I'm working on, blah blah blah. So what do you? Yeah, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah.
And they're the best. They're the best conversations when we can be truly critical about what's going on, and that's what I love so much about us is, you know, you can show someone some work and be like, oh, I just think of this. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and it's
we can really boil down.
Yeah,
like,
dissect it. Yeah,
this is how you can make improvements.
Yeah, and also big thing about it, especially why we're not recording this, because those moments are quite therapeutic. Hence why I ended up recording it. So it's funny because maybe over time we're gonna need to change the name from this to something else. Like, why are we not recording this? Well, you are recording it.
Why are we recording it?
I guess you know what? That's a birth of it. That's how it started. It was like, shit, why are we not recording this? Because I would like to listen back to this, and also it's almost like a timestamp for the conversations we've had, even just documenting our own journeys.
But then it's like we're finding the beauty much deeper than that as well. So that whole thing of like, why are we not recording this is a question we've been asking for years. Is it years?
Yeah,
no,
years,
at this point,
plural.
right?
Yeah.
And now we're doing it. Now it's like we're kind of seeing it through this other angle of like commitment to doing it.
Yeah. So
now it's like, okay, we're going to do this once a week.
Yeah.
And just commit to that once a
Going
week.
back to that being therapy, it's quite therapeutic because it's like, you know what? How was your week? It's like, actually, this is what I went through. Now I've let it go, or now I can go back and reflect, or now I've formulated this hypothesis like myself. It's like, you know what? Things at work, blah, blah, blah. Makes it sound like I hate work, you know, like
no, it doesn't.
Because I'm using it as a reference. It's just an example.
But it's too hard. It's too hard. Is it halves? Is it halves of our lives?
It is. No, it's actually.
It's more than.
Yeah.
We spend a lot of time there, and the thing is, we're not trash talking work.
Yeah, it's probably 3/4 when you consider that we also spend time sleeping. So when you think in 24 hours, we're sleeping for about 8.
Yeah.
Then we have another 8 hours of. Yeah, it's about 2/3.
I saw this thing the other day. Actually, no, I saw this thing from my brother. My brother has this piece of paper, which is like the average lifespan of a human, which is like 80 years or something. I need your take on it. But he has like penciled out each week that he has been alive, and he's looking at it from like this. Like, I'm like a third of the way through, over a third of the way through it. And I saw it, and I was just sort of like, okay, like is this slightly procrastinating? Like, is this? But then I kind of looked at it again, and I was like,
do you know what the weird thing is? I seen a similar one. Yeah, funny how life is. But do you know what? I think that's about frequencies as humans, because certain times we meet frequencies. But I seen a similar chart which had the lifespan like of humans, and then the time they spend with different individuals. So it's like you spend a lot of your time with your family when you're younger.
Interesting.
So it was basically who you spend your time with, and then it was like, you know what? As we get older, the people that we spend the most time with are actually people that we work with. So from like maybe the age of 24 to about 60, the most time.
24 to 60.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense because our retirement age is like 112.
And then, because also, and then that's where the time we spend with, like, let me say, if you have offsprings, kids, it goes down. Like from 24, like it goes up, but then it goes down over time.
So more time with kids, is that what you mean?
It's less. It ends up being less because it also deteriorates. Like the work one's just constantly rising as you get older.
Until you have something which stops
but then your parents, it deteriorates from 15, 16.
Yeah.
It starts going down.
Yeah.
So those are the people we spend the least time with as.
Interesting. But then within that we're kind of forgetting about, maybe we're fortunate in this
also there's also a graph for like for friends, like friends, like so the friends one, it kind of stays in the middle, but then it deteriorates when you're hitting about 40.
Interesting.
Around 40 it goes down,
because by that point traditionally you're kind of married, you have kids, you
live in your life, you see your friends once a year and things like that.
Don't like that.
So
don't like that.
It hit different. And then also I seen the statistic of like from the book that I'm reading, like just like the things that we do and what we spend our time doing as well. It just broke it down, and it broke down in terms of how many days we actually are alive, and then from the days, how many hours are we actually alive, or how many hours are we actually able to be out and active. And within that, it's like, so what are you doing with your time?
I don't know what that. Obviously, that is such a good, like, to have that is amazing, because then you'd be much more militant with your time and much more militant with that. But like, I spent maybe a couple of Fridays ago, I spent the day trying to break down my finances to be like, okay, what are you actually doing with your money? Just to get a gauge of like, how can we improve? Not that the situation is dire, cost of living crisis, and I was just planning it out to be like, I don't want to have that thing of, where's all my money gone? The same way I don't want to have the whole like, God, this year's just flown by. I don't like those two statements. So I tried breaking down my money as to where it was going. Probably got about halfway through it and was like, I took it almost passive aggressive. I was like, fuck this. I don't know who this person is who's spending this money. It's so important, but there's a hostility that I feel towards it.
See, I'm somewhat the opposite to that. I say that because, see, with money, okay, the money conversation.
Yeah.
I wanna. It's like almost like revealing dreams. That's weird, especially recording. These are moments where I'm like, I wish you're not recording this.
Why are we recording?
Yeah, why are we recording this? No, but like essentially, as far as me, it's like, you know what, I want financial freedom.
Yeah.
So that said, that's why someone would say I'm a bit careless with money, depending on your perception, but I try not to think about money like that, like, or even consider it.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not necessarily, okay, I have my moments where I buy shit and those things, but I'm not out shopping every weekend.
Yeah.
So it's like, yes, financial freedom, but it's not like in a selfish manner, like, you know what, I want to go out shopping every weekend. I'm also not even just that, I make my clothes.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and I get what you're saying, because you're saying like it's not things you need to kind of pull back on. It's like, where are the other avenues of money coming in?
Yeah.
Because it's not things that you're doing which is like, okay, you really need to like tighten the strings on that, the purse strings. I need to tighten up on this. And that is the most restrictive. I feel like you're just stopping yourself from doing stuff instead of that. And I think this is why I stopped halfway in, because I was like, nah, I need another pool of income. I can't rely on this one. Like, here's your wage.
Yeah, exactly.
I need more and more and more. I'm happy exactly the way I'm doing
Strategize, find a way to accumulate more rather than
putting restrictions on things you're doing in your life.
Yeah. But don't get it twisted. It's good. Like from my perspective, or like just watching people, it's good to be tactical with it.
Yeah.
Because as far as me, but that's the thing. I don't really do regrets either. Like, I never think, oh, I wish I didn't buy it. No, I bought it because I wanted it. Like, fuck it, I'm going to do what I want. Like that. Oh, yeah. I was thinking we shouldn't curse either, you know. I know I just did. But, no, like that's, like, okay, so but I did a
rest of this episode, chapter, whatever we want to call it, no swearing.
Yeah, no swearing. Even though we just
like in this moment you'd have like a boop and then you...
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. So no, because like now, because we're doing this, like going back to financial freedom, it's like, you know what, we need to be tactical with that. So being tactical with that is also looking at the algorithms, like, yo, the people who get more views don't curse. These little things, it's like, all right, okay, so we need to sharpen up.
Is that true?
To an extent.
Okay.
Because it means you're going to be filtered even, like, let me say there's an account of like a kid who's 16-year-old.
Yeah. And
then if you're cursing, chances are it's not going to show up on their feed. But at the same time, well, me anyway, it's wanting to inspire those kids as well. Because I was once one, I mean, we all were kids, like once upon a time. But it's just like, I mean, based on my life story, like I think some kid would find it useful. And also we're more similar than we are different. I mean, we are the same species. So... That's why I want to...
And it totally, and in terms of algorithms, I just hate that word these days. But anyway, language is just so beautiful.
Yeah.
And like, there's a beauty in like
it's expression.
In bad language.
It's expression.
Like, shit.
It's
like,
expression.
There's a way of doing it, which is just sort of like, it really adds to what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
I know, like, I've just said shit. And now I'm going to say fuck.
So much for not swearing.
But there's a thing that broke down the amount of ways you can drop an F-bomb. Like, you can use it in every single...
Even the N-word, but granted, other people...
I don't use that word, you know.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I've never heard... Damn.
I don't use it.
Yeah.
People talk about how, like, there's like power in that word, and, like, that word is ours, reclaiming that word. I just don't require it.
You don't require it.
In any way of conversing, I just don't feel like I require dropping a hard N.
Okay.
Except for singing.
Yeah, sing. Okay, fair. But see, that's the thing. As far as me, music. Well, I'm an only kid, so I spent a whole lot of time in music. So it's almost ingrained also in expression, just like the other curse words. But then again, it's also time and place, or who am I talking to?
Yeah, so it falls in your repertoire a lot more naturally.
Yeah.
And also, I feel like it's a more masculine word.
Just I hear
to
that.
a certain extent. I don't
To
know
be fair, no. Like to be fair, like
massively disagree with that. But like,
no, to be fair, to be fair, like even the way you drop it, the G is quite.
Yeah, I mean, starting from the N, like the way it rolls off the tongue is quite.
Excuse me, my name starts with N. I mean, that's neat. Like that's quite Well,
yeah, I thought that when I was driving the other day, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't really. It doesn't naturally flow off the tongue.
Yeah, but because also, obviously, I don't want to hear anyone say it to me. Well, granted, based on where I grew up, I heard it a lot, even when I didn't want to. But yeah, they pronounce it wrong.
That's your main problem with that.
Yeah, it was like, oh, you're saying it wrong. Dude, you probably spell it with ER.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
You still stop it then. Yeah, you still pronouncing the ER. Oh man.
In the words, I was like,
you know what? You get on with the times one day. God be with you.
How have we got here? Financial freedom, time spent with colleagues,
cursing,
algorithms.
Yeah.
Language.
And inspiring the younger generation to a certain extent.
Yeah. Which, and I'm talking 16-year-olds as well. They're cursing all wrong. They're like with peppering it in willy-nilly.
Yeah,
it's kind of like, oh, nah, there's a
yeah, they'll learn. But then, interesting. Now we're going to tie it back in to, no, wait, we're going to tie it back into how are you, right? So certain places, the cursing, it's like, wait, should I curse? Should I not? If I'm actually going to fully express myself, I'll probably say some things that are probably perceived like, whoa, then I will not be allowed in those spaces because I said the wrong thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you're talking, someone saying, how are you?
And then
you're saying like,
this happened, then poor choice of words.
Yeah, because there's certain things, and this is kind of tricky because there's certain things we definitely, I can't speak for anyone but myself. I definitely hold back from work. There's certain conversations I will not have, and there's certain subjects I will not discuss. But we spend most time with people at work.
Yeah.
And is that why we're exhausted? Is that why, like, do you know what I mean?
Because you are in the that's where the mask is fully on.
Before you say something, that is.
Oh yeah, I feel like.
I love how I'm not giving examples at this point.
Like, I'm that. I'm like, I feel like like sometimes I'm like, ooh, nah, too far. Or sometimes I come back, I'm like, did I say? I did. Well. That's the thing. Well, yeah. So that's it. Like, I'd rather have wells than regrets. Yeah. So it's like I'll say something. Yes, I want to. Like, it's okay to tame myself in terms of certain spaces, how I speak, and I mean, like I heard someone say, you got to learn how to move in a room full of vultures. So that's, we always with the guard up, you know.
Say that again?
We always have our guard up.
Yeah. But who's we? Who you're referring to in that? Like,
no, like when I say we, okay, so here's the thing. Like, maybe I should also preface by saying, like, yo, as far as me, most of the time, if not 99%, well, that's probably most of the time, but when I'm talking, I'm actually talking to myself. Yes, the other person is just there as a vessel of inspiration.
Lovely.
That's why I don't... See, it took me a while to want to record the conversations because I didn't want to say anything out of vanity or out of anything. Because it's like, would I say that to myself? Because words are very... Yeah, words are an interesting thing because we speak them, but they determine quite a lot. Sure. Mic check.
Thinking rings attached. Yeah. I don't have mine actually.
Yeah, no, I just feel incomplete. If that's a thing. I need my accessories.
It's such a thing.
It's a vanity thing, but it makes me comfortable.
I don't think it's a vanity thing. I'm working on a project at uni with this guy who's a jeweler, and his take on jewelry is like not about jewelry, but about jewelryness and like what jewelryness actually is. His way of thinking about jewelry, I've never really considered before. Also, he's the best lecturer I've ever met in my life. The way he lectures is just like, there's a student in the palm of his hand. I do, I bloody love it.
Yeah. No, it'd be nice to have a conversation with them. Because obviously, got rings, no earrings, no stud. So I do like my jewelry.
We do like our jewelry. I just wear things until they don't want to wear me
Yes,
anymore.
the same here.
There's something really interesting about that.
Yeah.
But he talks about jewelry as even being like lighting, like sunlighting. Do you know, and the light it just hits right. He's like, how is that not the same? Do you know, if you just want to like capture that moment, you'd be like,
I mean,
back into the light.
See, that's why I like photography.
Exactly.
That's why I like videography, because it's like capturing those moments and we're actually just enjoying what you see. Like,
it's a form of accessorizing a shot.
I guess that's why I like clothes. Also, it is to do with presentation and like.
We've got to get Mark in to have a conversation because.
Yeah, maybe it sounds like an interesting brain, because usually, jewelry is like associated with vanity. Yeah. And with money, when I don't necessarily.
And that's just scratching. That's not even scratching the surface of what jewelry actually is. Especially when we look to ourselves with jewelry. Like, you got me this.
I did,
and it will remain.
I did. Like,
until it doesn't remain anymore.
See, I'm missing something.
Yes, and it's
like
no
something is off. It's like, well, but last night I was outside, so who knows why. Like, I was looking for these, I couldn't find them.
You didn't wear your ring last night?
No, I did. But like this morning, today.
Because when you took them off, you put them in a different
location. So that's
location.
where, like, in this, I probably threw it out, like, no. Like, no one nights are out, and just just chuck, like, what's this? It's making me uncomfortable.
You just
whatever it is,
throw it on the bed,
off.
and you know you're not going to find it.
Yeah. I'm at home.
Did you put more jewelry on yesterday when you went out? Like, did you wear jewelry that
like my usual,
going out
like
jewelry?
my usual, just what I feel comfortable in, like what makes me feel like me.
The necklace, constant. Is it a constant?
Yeah, that lives there, except for when I'm playing football.
Oh, okay.
Funny enough, so this necklace, it used to have the stone, like see the stone that's on those, the onyx. Yeah. Yeah, it used to have that onyx. I lost it in the shower, like. Because once again, I always keep it. Yeah, I don't know how many times I've broke this necklace.
There's something nice about that as well. Like, just like a human, it's like, okay, it's not that deep. We'll fix that. Yeah. Put it back on.
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like I always know when I'm gonna break it.
You can feel it bubbling.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. Okay. So but this, I don't know if I believe it or maybe I've conditioned myself to identify it like that. So certain things happen in threes. Yeah. It's like, remember...
Relates back to the last conversation we were having about...
Yeah. Happening in threes. So once again, so like when I'm taking a shower or whatever, if I target, I'm going to be like, oh, okay, I targeted then. Yeah. Interesting. If I do it again, I'm going to be like, oh, okay, no. Now I need to be careful. Now I need to be careful because the first one was a mistake. The second one was just lack of awareness. Yeah. The third one...
And so because of lack of awareness... Now you have awareness. Yeah, that's the second time.
The third one is like, come on now.
We told you.
Come on, is
that superstitious?
Maybe, but I wouldn't say I'm a superstitious person.
Ooh, not based on that. What you've just said. Not based on that. But why is it back to superstition? Because superstition sounds a little bit like you're into conspiracies. It has a similar kind of vibe to it, but superstitious. Yeah. What's the definition of that? Can we Google?
Yeah, please. Okay. Please. Oh yeah, sorry. Welcome back. We stopped to have a tea break and hydrate and all sorts. But yeah, we're back. Continuing from where we left off, but not really, but we will come back to that. We're just looking up.
Okay, superstition. Excessively credulous. Okay, so pause. Credulous is having or showing too great a readiness to believe things. Okay, so excessively credulous belief in and reverence. Reverence being deep respect for something. So credulous belief in and reverence for the supernatural. I'm not sure about that one. And the second definition is a widely held but irrational belief in supernatural influences, especially as leading to good or bad luck or practice-based. Yeah, that's the one. That's
Sorry, I mean not disrespect, because to be fair, maybe it might make sense to someone else. It's just maybe...
Yeah, so widely held but irrational belief in supernatural influences, especially in leading to good or bad luck or practice based on such a belief. Could that be applied to God, though?
Yeah.
Because you're in tricky
see,
waters with that.
Yes, it is. Because like that's why I was like, oh no, I'm not. Because it also implies that there's other gods, and the god that I'm aware of, there's only one, and he's the one, the Alpha and Omega.
Yeah.
So now we're like, wait, so who's? And again, he created.
So who's this
all
little
this.
trickster? Exactly. Yeah. So how is there not like some sort of layers to this?
Shit. Oh. I cursed. Oh yeah. Also, we're not cursing.
We'll bleep. We'll bleep.
No, I think we're just gonna have silence, because bleeping implies that there's something. It's just gonna beep. Well,
because you can make like when you hear a bleep, I'd go to the worst one.
Yeah.
Like a hard C.
So now it depends on your conditioning.
Yeah, it does.
Now it depends. Yeah. So it's just gonna be.
So you're not superstitious, is what we've just like what we'll boil it down to.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? Maybe I am to a certain extent, but it's also a reflection of the creator himself. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not giving homage to anyone else, but the one that I'm aware of. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So, yeah, I guess maybe to a certain extent. Yeah. So belief in... Yeah, it's funny because there's a cross as well. It's true. And the black onyx has got to have some significance as well, but I don't know significance enough about... gives homage to the big homie. Yeah. So, but then down the shower. Yeah. Let's not read too much into it. Yeah. So, it happens. It's funny because when it happens, it's like, wait, am I present or am I on autopilot? Or is this whole thing just purgatory? That's my go-to. Convinced. Oh, okay. Well, I go to I'm not being present. Let's come back to Earth, and then an existential crisis in the corner, and then happy ever after. Dang. But like going back to what we were actually talking about. You said you wrote it down. Yeah, but do you remember where we were at? We were on. I feel like along the lines of. Me speaking about not being a hypocrite, hence why I try to choose my words wisely. Because hence why I also then ended up having to like reframe them as to, you know what, let me approach them as if I'm talking to myself. Yeah. Therefore, I'm less likely to offend anyone. Because words are interesting. I feel like we're going to talk about conditioning a lot. Naturally, yeah. It's a big part of our, surrounds us on a until it becomes basis. the buzzword. Yeah. Until it becomes everyone's talking point. But like, so talking to myself, I'm not going to say harsh things about myself. That's another side that I'm also trying to condition, because it's almost like we are our thoughts. Yeah. So whatever you were thinking about once upon a time, well, we're here now. Even recording this conversation, I don't know if you remember, but when we met, we spoke about this. And remember, I said to you that I was looking for that message. I was going to just reply to that message saying, yeah, let's do recordings. Yeah. So now going full circle, going back to words become what they're meant to be. So now coming back to self, I need to choose my words wisely. And also, what scares me is whenever the homies or anyone is like, yo, I'm going through this, like, give me some advice. It's like, I do like your stance on advice, and I will bring it back in a second. But I was speaking to another friend a couple of days ago who's asking me about like relationship advice. It wasn't even asking for relationship advice. It was kind of like, this is what's happening in my relationship, and this is why maybe it's not going to plan. And immediately I just thought of you, just kind of like sitting there like, Is that how you see me? It fascinates when you don't like giving advice, because you give really good advice without even meaning to. And I know that does stuff to your psyche, but it is what it is. But it's like, I remember having a conversation with you once that was kind of talking about, I think I'm 90% sure it was you, 95. But it was just talking about speaking on things that you, or giving advice, you really need to be careful with giving advice, not having your advice be molded to self, you know, like just giving advice based on your agenda, and then people taking that advice and then spiraling it all back around. So in that instance, I thought of that conversation that we had before, and then just try to refrain as much as possible, which weirdly took a lot of like, just listen, just be there to listen and try not to give any advice. But yeah, you were definitely in the brain just saying like, just shut the up. But I do like that about, because
not confusing your own agenda with like trying to advise someone on.
Yeah, because I think, well, I'm with humans and their behavior and their interaction.
And learn from that. Learn so much from that. The assumption is that you have learned through experience.
To an extent, yeah. And also hearing from other people and their experiences, it's like, oh, okay, I've seen this picture before. And now going back to advice, it's like, you know what? My advice
segue is beautiful.
So it's like my advice isn't based on anything, but just me trying to paint you different alternatives or trying to make up different scenarios as I did outside.
Mm-hmm.
And that helps me actually understand that I know nothing. So when you understand that you know nothing after speculating, it's almost like cleansing to some extent.
Yeah.
So actually,
it's humbling, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, oh, actually, I know nothing. So, yeah, what's up, type of thing.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna welcome the experience that comes after.
Yeah.
So ultimately, my advice is usually based on the fact that just acknowledge the not knowing.
Yeah. I'm really trying to listen to what you're saying, but it's
really
it's really kicking off. So with advising, and that again, do you know, like the irony of what you've just done is advice, and it's advice to a certain point where it's not like, okay, what you've said is like fact and it's a given. It's like, I'm gonna test that theory out more often. Especially, I feel like a lot of people do come to me for advice.
Yeah.
It's probably likely that it's the same with you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's why I had to that's why I had to reassess.
Like, trying to understand
what are the words
to do.
which you're speaking?
Yeah, because it feels like an opportunity to massage your own ego. That's exactly what being honest with it.
Don't compliment it, because now I'll believe you.
It's hard not to compliment
it. And once
I
believe you, I'm gonna start moving some type of way. It's like no.
Yeah.
Let me just go through this human experience and let me learn.
Yeah.
But like, pick me up. If you're gonna pick me up, it's like, wait, when are you actually gonna put me down? Because it's like, do you put me down elsewhere, or do you, because you're not putting me down in front of me?
Which is kind of a superstitious thing to do. So you're assuming that there's gonna be
There has to be
both of them.
Yeah.
And that has to be applied to every scenario. So
balance is good, balance is great.
Yeah. But balance is inevitable, is that what you're saying?
To some extent, yeah.
Okay. Because if someone putting you down, again, is another interesting way of looking at it, but
words are a funny
words are a very funny thing. But it's the massaging of the ego, and I'm trying to be really honest with myself about moments where it's like, oh, ego's in play, activated ego, and I just try and suppress is not the right word. I try and just look at it for exactly what it is. Especially with the book that I've been reading recently. The book that I've been reading.
But
Laws of Human Nature. Go on.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. I'm just going to emphasize what you just did, because I feel like in different circles, you know what, even this might be coming from an egotistical perspective, but around these people, the frequency that I operate in is not necessarily ego-based. So even if I say I have been reading this book, it's not necessarily from the ego.
No, it's this thing here that's doing that. That thing there is just sort of like, oh no, I don't know who's out there. I don't know who's out there. But when it's just like, I've talked about this book so many times. You talked about this book. Yeah. It's as soon as this gets placed in. No, I've not finished it.
Yeah. Okay. That's good, because I haven't finished mine, right? Because I was thinking.
How far into it are you?
I seen it.
Yeah, that was
because it usually lives here or by my desk. I'm like maybe 2/3.
What's a different fraction? I'm probably 3/5.
3/5
of the way through.
Yeah,
do with that what you
just
will.
Just over halfway, but less than I have.
Oh no, I meant more than you have. So I can't do that fraction. Cut.
Okay.
Yes, slightly past 2/3.
4/5.
But it doesn't feel like that much. It doesn't feel like 4/5 done. It doesn't feel like I have a fifth left of the book to read. 2/3. Let's just go with 2/3. I'm 2/3 of the way through it, and that book is just very, very challenging. With like, observe what happens. So like, here's the situation to kind of like test this theory, especially with like topics that not rarely get talking about, but they rarely get talking about as articulately and as abruptly as this book does it. So with things like manipulation, how you can manipulate scenarios, that kind of stuff. Got to that point in the book where I was just sort of like, I don't think this book's for me. It's kind of doing the most at this point. And then I was like, I don't manipulate situations. Like, I don't do that. I like things to be organic and free flowing. And then it was like, pause.
But see, I feel like, funny enough, so maybe last week or something like that, on YouTube, the 48 Laws of Power came on, and it just played in the background. It's funny because similar thing happened. Like some of them was like, sounds a lot like manipulation and blah blah blah, as you're saying. But at the same time, so I looked at it as, you know what? What if I was actually trying to understand it differently? So now, when I try to understand it differently, it's like actually, it's almost as though those people, it's like they're telling you those people exist.
Yes, exactly.
Now find your own step.
Yes.
But understand those people exist.
Exactly.
You can abide by them, but
it's like when you read this book, I imagine it's like there's 3 different people trying to read it. Rules of 3. There's one set of people who are kind of like it's everywhere. 3 images. Do you know what I mean? Like not 3 panels. 3 types of people that kind of like digest this information. One of the 3, and it kind of sounds kind of mean. I don't know how it sounds, but just won't quite understand what it means and won't.
Time out. It won't. He stopped at won't. I don't know what that train of thought was. It's very distracting.
It's very distracting. Sorry, good people.
Yeah.
The book. 3 people kind of digesting the information in the book. One of those sets of 3 people, I feel like just might not be able to like understand the information, especially with how it's written. It's written really academically, and there's loads of times when I'm just sort of like, oh, pause, let me just Google that word because I don't know what. It takes a lot to kind of, Then there's the second group of people, and the second group of people learn about manipulation, and they're like, that's how I'm going to use it. Like that's what I need to do to get someone to do this.
How you want it.
And then the third set of people are like, that's how to spot it when it's happening. And you can spot it happening from like a mile away just by being like, oh, you're trying to like pander to these 3 things that humans require, which is like to feel funny and to feel like they have autonomy, which is like free will, and to feel like they have power in a situation. Like to feel like they have power, and you can do that through like making someone feel like they're more intelligent than you and things like that. So you either run with that information, you're like, that's what I'm going to do. I say it in a nasty way. Manipulation we see as a bad word, but like if you can use it in certain scenarios to get what you want.
It happens every day.
Yeah. And then there's people who use it to just see that happening. Or there's a balance of the 2. You know?
Because to a certain extent, and it's like going back to the corporate world, it's a form of manipulation because you're wearing a mask. Yeah. It's just like, you know what, I'm going to show you this side of me, and you're not going to see ABC. So to a certain extent,
you can manufacture that however you want. Like, this is the side of me you're going to see with a little razzle dazzle, with a little bit of this as well. And like,
so once again, it's to a certain extent, well, arguably, it is a form of manipulation. But I feel like we do need it to a certain extent to get into certain rooms that we're trying to get in, or things like that. I think it is needed. And also, even just for your own growth and for your own journey. That's why I stopped judging people. It's like, yo, you're just having your own human experience just like I am, so I can't judge whatever decision you're making. But,
are you actively not judging? Do you feel like that's an easy thing to do? Not judge?
Yeah.
How? It seems like such an organic thing. You like judge without even knowing that you're doing it. You kind of judge to keep yourself safe, and you judge to like, I feel like there's loads.
It's almost like like these days I exist in the unknown.
Say more words.
So if I exist in the unknown, I need to approach even other humans. And like, to be fair, like approaching humans as they are unknowns, I'm actually a lot more welcoming to certain interactions. Yeah. And now, here's to hope. Now, fun enough, it goes back to my mantra. It's like, keep me away from evil, so I may not cause pain. So I can't dictate what the stimulus will be, but I hope it's not to harm or cause me anything. So if I say my mantra, it's almost like by default, I'm actually looking, because continues to enlarge my territory. So it goes into, you know what, I'm going to have a scope of actually looking at good. If it's unknown, or I'm in the unknown, look at everything as good. So therefore, I'm not overly emotionally attached to it. So I'm not going to judge you. But what I will do is take myself out of situations where I don't feel comfortable, or whereby I feel like I don't have a mask for that occasion. So I'm going to take myself away
Okay, so
from
I'm just
that.
not gonna.
Yeah.
Have you got an example? I know it's quite on the spot. Have you got an example?
Okay, an example is Lawrence and I, when we're in uni, we'd get invited to all sorts of parties, and Lawrence would come to me like, yo, you coming through? I'd be like, I'm not feeling it.
How do you know? Like, how do you even how do you even judge that scenario from that far from an invite?
It's if it doesn't necessarily like there's something that like the frequencies just clash. If it like, because okay, example is the opposite of that is last night. You could say I had a bit of anxiety going out because I thought I'm not necessarily going out with my clique in terms of my immediate.
Yeah.
I'm stepping into the unknown.
Yeah.
And I'm almost like I'm not saying they're not my friends, but they're not my sort of friends that I spend the most time with.
Yeah.
So there was that element of it's been a while. Ooh, I didn't curse. We're keeping it up. I was gonna say it's been a while since like I've seen some of them, and some of them I didn't even know they were gonna be there. So there was an element of, you know what, you'd be sick if Lawrence came, Katie came. If I had one of the homies as well, it would have been dope. But at the same time, it's like it is their known, and I want to keep my word as one of the things that I'm just doing for self anyway, because it feels good when you go to bed like, I did that. Oh, no, sick. So it's like,
and even with those two examples you've given, it sounds like growth over time. You know, like you're talking about like uni parties, and you kind of like, I'm just going to remove myself from that situation.
Okay, sorry, going back to that one. So when I removed myself from that situation, I learned something, which was, more often than not, Lawrence would come back early, be like, yo, it was blah, blah, blah. Like, blah, 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 started doing ABC. Like, yo, you know what? I shouldn't have went.
Yeah. So you can trust that kind of judgment. It's not directly aimed at another human, but it's just, it's kind of like situational judgment, if that's a thing. Sounds like a thing. But
situational in the sense of if you're, like the spirit didn't sit right with it. Yeah. So therefore, I didn't go for it. Because it wasn't the good anxiety, because there's good anxiety and then there's the anxiety that's like, yo, check you got the sign, like once again, the threes. Yeah. So it's like, yo, if I don't pay attention, then I'll just rip it or do something. Yeah. So, but like sometimes balance is good, balance is great.
And I do think it's a tricky thing trying to figure out where the line is with that. So like when I moved into the flat, and obviously moved into a flat alone, my main concern was that it would be hard to get me to like go to places, especially when I started putting like my little furniture in there, some houseplants there, got comfy.
This is comfortable.
Yeah,
I want to be
so comfy. Like I just want to be.
That's how I feel.
I just want to be here. So it's challenging that anxiety when someone will be like, "Oh, we're gonna do this after work," or like, "We're gonna go out here." And again, it's not my immediate circle. It's not the most comfortable circle, even though that sounds kind of. It is what it is. So there's that kind of anxiety where I'm sort of like, I'm all right. I can swerve that one. I'm not really feel like I'm missing anything. And then there's the one where it's like there's an invitation to go and do something, and it's like one of those scenarios you can almost smell it when you'd rather be chilling because everything's comfortable. Oh, the plants need watering, whatever. But it's like one of those situations where like if I say yes to this and if I go to this, it's gonna be great. You can kind of feel it, like one of those ones where
things you can just So that's the thing. Like once again, it's listening to that spirit, that the thing that's connected to the universe itself. Because I mean, yes, I'd like to think I'm independent and have an independent thought, but ultimately, the unknown and the unknown. It's like one of those ones I heard. It was Kendrick. He said,
"Of course, it's always Kendrick, isn't it?"
Kendrick said, "Once upon a time, like, would you rather live and die and find out there isn't a God, or would you rather live and die and find out there really is a God?" So it's like, I might as well live like there is. What have I got to lose?
Yeah.
Nothing.
That's like one point we can't really have like an debate about, because I firmly agree with that one.
Yeah, like, so it's, and to be fair,
But that's such a good thing to raise with someone who defines themselves as an atheist. What's the harm in?
Yeah, but see, I feel like, what's the harm? I feel like, you know what the harm is? The harm is on the label. The label we place amongst things. Because if you think about it, we label a lot of things. And when you use those labels, it's kind of like conditioning and association with certain things. So when you say, example, Christianity, depending on your conditioning and what you were taught or what you're seeing, you can have an image of what Christianity looks like. But then, in my opinion, it's in you. Yes, you may see certain things, you can call it Christianity. It's, to me, certain things, it's just a label. And you might disagree, you might not. It's a label. But if you take it out, if you strip it back away from the labels and actually talk about what it is, I feel like there is understanding. Because there's good people who call themselves atheists. But then when you look at their values, it's like, fam, you're Christian. If, like, based on my understanding of what a Christian is, you kind of abide by those.
Yeah.
But then again, it's like the creator himself knows that, like, that exists. Because
behind the label isn't just an awful lot of culture, and that's why I don't get behind a label. I believe in God
labels
as a fact, full stop. Taking me a long time to get there, but like, it's always been there. I've just been trying, like, fighting against it like a toddler that won't go to sleep. Just been fighting against it, and then you have the best sleep of your life. But I don't abide by, like, I was raised as a Christian. And then because of the culture of that, people kind of like, who is a judge? But kind of like showing up to church to have the whole sort of like...
No, but...
The conversations that I was around personally were not conducive to the things that we've just been talking about. But so I don't abide by any of those. And then atheism, if your point is correct and it's kind of like about the label and about not wanting to have a label to kind of define you, I don't think, maybe to some people it is. Of course, to some people it is, but like, I can only speak for myself personally, but like, I don't think the label is a necessary thing. I think freedom to hop between the books and the teachings is so nice.
That's the thing. Like, the labels, once again, the labels are kind of like, they determine what mask you're going to put on. So it's one of the reasons why when you meet new people, it's like, so what do you do? It's like, wait, let me put a label on you, and then I'll know how to navigate or how to talk to you.
The rest of this conversation will be dictated by that.
Like, if you say, like, so what do you do? It's like, I do nothing. It's like, okay. Like, you know what I mean? So once again, it's the labels, it's the conditioning. But if we actually strip away all the labels, we actually more similar than we are different. But the label just says, no, I'm on this side. Oh, my label says I'm on this side, so I'm going to abide by this, and then I'm going to do this according to my label.
It feels intentionally evil. It feels, and because of that, I don't know, like, I'd love someone to argue with me as to why they disagree with that, but adding labels to things just makes things more awkward and more tricky, because it's like, well, you have this culture and I have this and this and this and this. My society does this differently. And if we took them all away and just saw each other for what we see each other as, kind of bliss. You're going to have some arguments here and there, but pretty much bliss. And weirdly, that sounds like someone would be like, I don't know, there's like that voice, that argumentative voice in my head is saying, like, sounds so naive.
Yeah, like, oh no, like, I feel like once, like, say, even I call myself naive, like, quite a lot. But like, it's a word that I'm trying to embrace as well. Similar to being a hypocrite, because I learned through my hypocrisy that I'm being a hypocrite. Going back to the words that I speak, the words that come out of my mouth.
Nice way to humble the ego.
It's like, it's like, understand that you don't know. Going back to that, no, like, yo, you don't know. Like, I'm being a hypocrite here. So,
I think it was Lawrence, maybe. I don't know if he posted it on what kind of social, I saw it somewhere, but it was like, it's okay to not have an opinion.
Oh yeah,
And it was like the first time I'd seen that, like, articulated in that kind of in that kind of instance, or heard that said the way it was said, and it was like, it's so okay to not have an opinion on something and to just listen to what both sides are saying. And then to just carry on with the rest of your day.
Not to care.
It's perfectly fine. If anything, it's kind of helpful if you just don't have an opinion on this thing.
Yeah. Because usually, like, especially situations that or things that you can't really do nothing about.
Mm-hmm.
Like as far as me, like I'm just gonna talk about social. I see a whole lot of horrible shit that. Damn, we're doing so well.
You're doing so well. But it just slips off the tongue.
Like like a whole lot of but it's like I don't necessarily want to repost or do anything about that. It's like I'm there's nothing I can do right now. So, but I rate the people that do say things. But for like I rate that. But like for me, it goes back to I'm trying to be the example I want to see. I'm not saying I want my clones, but I just mean in terms of human interaction.
Yeah.
Like, because certain things I can have an opinion, but really, what am I doing about it? Nothing. So my opinion is as good as me saying nothing.
Have you ever felt in a stage in your life that you've had like saviour complex? Have you ever felt that and you've had to battle that?
Well, what
you know how? Okay, so you know how you're talking
it's
about.
Not your savior. That's all I'm thinking about. But like,
every time the word saviour.
Please elaborate. Just.
So you know that whole thing of like maybe not necessarily posting things on your socials or like that kind of stuff, or things being out of your power that you're not reacting to because like what can I do in the situation to actually help? You can help silently, or you can just not have you can not react to things. That's fine. Have you ever had a time in your life where you kind of felt like you are responsible for doing the opposite of that and reacting to a lot of things? Like when you were younger, did you ever feel like you needed to be vocal about a lot of things? I'm kind of asking, has there been like a transition between?
Not really. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I get what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Like it's funny because it's almost as though I'm only passionate for the things I love. I don't know if that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense.
So what I mean is, I don't know if passion is the word anyway, but I mean, I typically react to things that I love. So things that I care for.
Yeah. And
things that I may feel like is somewhat, not have control over, but like, okay, example, I remember once upon a time, with kids, one of my cousins was like in a fight. There was a whole crowd of people around him. He was losing the fight, unfortunately, and I just came through. I zoned out, and poor dude, you reacted. I reacted, and it was really bad for the homie. But by the way, I'm not saying that I'm the guy who just likes fighting. I'm not condoning
surely at this point that's come through.
So like that's the only time. Well, that's usually when I'm reacting to certain things.
Yeah.
So kind of like posting.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm drawing parallels to that. I know it sounds.
There's always a way.
Yeah. So like with posting, like I'm trying to think of, okay, it's horrible what's going on in Syria. But I am clueless. Would I like to know? Yes and no. I'm like it's like you know, one of those things that just like it's almost like it just hurts the soul. Yeah. That it just leaves you once again, it just leaves you powerless. Yeah. Whereas in my cousin's situation, I was able to react because I felt like, you know what, I can do this, blah 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 blah. But this one, it's just like, yes, they can think, like cool. The things that sometimes you think, like in an ideal world, like, you know, go there, help people, blah blah blah. But it's like when you actually look at the full picture, the whole like a lot of things. It's. I know the immediate is helping everyone, whatever's going on, but like, I guess it leaves me like going back to posting. It just leaves me. Like, it's just like empty. Yeah. Like, it's just like.
It's a tricky thing to discuss.
And also the fact that I don't know anything because my only attachment is the humans.
That's it. That's the only attachment we have, and so it's that thing of like, is it selfish to just want to exist in your marble and to just like that's what we can have control over? And again, control sounds like this crazy. I'm done like trying to make the words sound less harsh than they sound. But should I be guilty for just wanting to exist in this marble and these things are in my control and I can sort these things here? If I make myself a better human,
That's where the comfort. That's where the
lead by
comfort.
example for that.
Yeah, that's where the comfort comes.
I'm not
from.
a resharer either. I'm not a resharer of these things.
Oh, by the way, like, I'm not saying I'm against it or I'm for it.
No.
Like sometimes, once again, being human and I'm a hypocrite, is that I probably have posted about it once upon a time. I'm pretty sure I have. But it's not even about saying, yes, I've done it and I'm done. But it's just like, it also depends how I'm feeling on the day. But ultimately, it's humans. That's what's even weirder, is that how can you do it to people? Now, coming back to self, it's just like, you know what, maybe I should be the best version of me and try each one teach one. So maybe it will be a better place. Because that's all I can do at this particular moment.
Yeah.
Is maybe, who knows what's going to unfold in the future. But like each one teach one, that's usually where the comfort comes from. Granted, I'm speaking from a privileged place because I mean,
of course,
we are here, we somewhat feel safe, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it's one of those ones.
Yeah.
But
and again, just being honest about hypocrisy, I think is something I'm going to be actively doing more and more this week, because I know, like, even after this conversation, there's going to be things where I'm just sort of like, well, there is more of that I could do, and there is more of that I could do. And I think the main thing we can do is try and educate ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we're not recording this.
Exactly.
That's one of the reasons.
Yeah. But there's been times when I've like posted about certain things, I'm just sort of like, and even the idea of posting anyway, I don't want to feel any sort of like emotional attachment to that space. Like
once again, it seems like, because sometimes when you post, then like,
listen to
for
what
me
we're
anyway,
saying,
it's like
posting.
Like whenever sometimes it's like, okay, like posting, it's like, wait, am I seeking validation? Like that's.
Am I doing this because I need to show people that like I have a heart and I have this? And again, not assuming that's why people are posting this stuff, but if I'm questioning that about self, sounds like you might be doing that as well.
Like, you know what?
Remove yourself from it.
Don't know what to do.
Post your artwork.
Yeah.
Just post your. That's what
you know. That's what you can speak on.
Exactly.
That's what you can have an opinion on that.
I can have a direct opinion on that. There, I have full control over that. There.
Because this other subject is not only opinion, it's the humans, bro. That's as far as like tell me, but it's this and that, blah blah blah. Took this, it's humans.
Yeah.
Like that's what my opinion stands. So it's like I can't go any further in the conversation except for it's humans. If you don't get that, then we reach an impasse.
Yeah, and it's someone disagreeing with something over here. It's just a debate that's sort of like
it's like, but like that ruler over there, this land was. I don't know.
And this source posted about this thing, and then this source did I did the whole thing with like the Black Lives Matter thing, whether we should dare to go into this topic or not. Here we are. And I was posting about that until I went to one of the so I was posting like, Black Lives Matter. Went to one of the events in town, everyone got down on one knee, and I immediately was like, what is happening? Like, I've never felt more uncomfortable, more like, this is so weird, this is so agenda driven. And then now over time, things came out about like, oh, I'm buying this house and I've got this here, and what impact did you actually do? Oh, nothing. Oh, and you were like helping fund governments. Let's not go that deep into it. But I felt like an idiot for posting something based on this reactive, like, I feel this way, I'm going to post it on my page.
Do you know what? It's just like someone punching the...
It's just like the event now. So it's reaction. Just a swift headbutt of, you know?
Yeah. So it's... Yeah. Because like...
I'm just stay in my lane.
Yeah, it's like...
Do what I know.
Like the opinion I have is what is my circle of influence. Because I actually have an opinion on that. And the things that I love. Because I have an opinion about things like football. I'm not minimizing issues.
No.
But I know that I can't do nothing about football. But it's an opinion, and that's kind of like entertainment. So I can have an opinion on entertainment because that's almost like, I mean, that's one thing that I judge, I guess, entertainment.
Yeah. I feel like it's there for opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
It's there for conversation.
It's just like art. That's there for opinion. Like, how does that make you feel? But now, like, we're going to be closing soon. Back to art. I'll say, what's one song that you've been like bumping throughout this week, or even an album? Because, well, by the way, that's something I want to incorporate, like what you're reading, or a song or album that's been resonating throughout the week.
Okay, I'm at the tail end of Intergalactic I know it's old. Like, but I didn't jump onto this.
I'm still there because that's the same album I'm on. You know.
Yeah.
I'm still there.
It's because I was being here, and then you were talking about like, oh, this Cudi album, man, and I was like, what's happening over there? What is this?
What is this you speak of?
Yeah, and then I'd already seen this Intergalactic thing on Netflix. I think Alto had said like, "How have you seen it?"
Yeah.
And I was like, That's like the second time it popped up. You were the third time it
There
popped
you
up.
go,
Actually,
please.
there you go.
Please.
And then I thought, okay. I think I was driving home from here, and I was like, oh, let's see what this album has to
let's see
offer.
what it's got.
Because
Yeah.
I don't like an album recommendation usually. I think there's something in me that needs working out, which is stubborn.
I used to be like that.
Yeah, I think I'm just stubborn.
I've gotten better with
I
that.
know what I like.
Yeah.
But on the way home, I decided to give Intergalactic a
If
go.
I'm meant to like it, I was supposed to know about it.
Then I listen to it, and it will happen, and it will. Nah, I put the album on intentionally, and was like, okay. Usually, an album takes me 3 goes to be like, oh, okay, these are the jams that I love.
Yeah.
These are the ones that I like. And then I got home and watched the film, and yeah, I absolutely loved it.
It inspired me.
From illustration, music.
Because I think, if I'm correct, so it was made by one of these dudes. I think he's quite inspirational. Just his sheer just being. It's a dude who did Blackish and
that makes sense.
Kenya Barris, if I'm correct. Yeah, him. Like his, I rate him. Like, yeah, it's I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
That album. So yeah, music wise, I'm still on that album. Because I feel
walking into work with the vibes on.
Yeah. Like,
it's
also,
juicy. It's like butter on toast. It's weirdly simple. It doesn't need much more than it is. It's just delicious vocals. Obviously there's so much more to it. By doing like an animation to go alongside an album, everyone should be doing that also. But it's so simple.
To be fair, I would say, even Black Panther, the first one, not the latest one.
Yeah.
See, with the soundtrack that Kendrick did, I really enjoyed that album to the point that I feel like at any point throughout the song, I actually can tell you what's going on in the movie at that point. Like, I was really
listened to the album 3 days ago.
I was really kicked on that.
Yeah.
But like right now, it is the Cudi album. Like, I really enjoyed that album, and it's because it's almost like in the mornings, this track New Mode just hits different. Like, well, anything that I'm trying to do or whatever, it's just like, you know what? Even the anxiety just goes away. It's like, I'm on a new mode. Like,
subtle, simple, but it has direct impact. It has direct impact. There's no extra
I'm gonna do what I want. Because how long have I been saying I'm gonna do what I want? I feel like it just gave me the perfect soundtrack. Like, So that's a music side of things. And
yeah, but I something else. I do need to hop onto something else. I've gone back to my eclectic just gathering of like jewels, and I've started listening back to this playlist. So I make playlists that I like each month and by the year, so that I can time travel through music.
Like,
do it.
I need to do it. I need to do it because I rely on Spotify breaking it down at the end of the year. Be like, yo, this is your...
Don't wait for Spotify. Don't wait for Spotify.
Yeah, no, I need to do it because you know what my playlist is like? My playlist is pretty much my liked songs. And if...
Messy.
If I was to show you, there's easy 7,000 songs.
Yep. Messy.
And...
do you just shuffle? How do you do that?
Yeah, shuffle. Right, and usually it takes me to whatever. Like, there's weird coincidences. To be fair, side note, coincidences. I feel like it should be like coincidi.
Episode
it's kind of like it's kind of like cactus. Like like cactus.
Coincidi instead of coincidences.
Yeah,
coincidi sounds coincidi. I know where you're going with it.
Sorry, that's just like it might be. Yeah, I know what.
I don't like how much I'm thinking about it right now. Yeah.
Sorry. Welcome to my brain. Anyways, moving on. But welcome to my brain. But
yeah, you're talking 7,000 like tracks that you're shuffling through.
So basically just shuffle. And then if I end up on a song that just flick through. And then whenever I get to a certain album, I stop the shuffle. Then I listen to the album and I might take it back and I might take it back and I might take it back. And then when I'm done with it, the next album's gonna follow up usually.
Yeah.
And then if I like it, usually it's great.
Yeah.
If I'm not feeling it, I go back to shuffle.
Yeah.
and then I just leave on the
How much do you have
shuffle.
to like a song to put it on the list though?
I typically download the album. I typically unlike rather than
I just have the album instead. So if you
yes.
shuffle through albums,
So I like Kikuri. I just downloaded the whole album.
yeah.
I liked all of them.
Yeah.
And then, well, I haven't. There's no dislikes. I'm trying to think of an album that there was a few dislikes. I think it was. I rate him as well as a rapper. Bally, Canadian dude.
See, I'm a
the
song
one-
listen to, individual song
Yeah.
listen to, so
Oh
carry
yeah,
on.
nah.
That's the trick. I've only just started getting into like whole albums of work. I understand the disrespect of it. I get it, but like then there's just this one track that I just sort of need. I need to put it in. Like when you hear a track and it's like I'm adding it to this month's playlist.
Yeah,
That's just kind of how it works.
if I hear a track, I'm checking the whole album.
I've
Did
only
he drop
just
an
started
album with it?
doing that.
No, he didn't drop an album. Fair enough. That's the only time
Right.
I'll get like just the singles.
Yeah.
If it's just the singles, but if it's a whole album, I'm getting the whole album. And then if there's some, so that's how I
Nah,
felt
I'm
with
like a truffle
Belly.
pig.
Like Belly. I feel like Belly let me down in that latest album. You know, just a little bit, because
And it's things like this. Maybe this is why I don't listen to albums, because what if it just misses a little bit? I'm going to cast a little bit of judgment on this situation. Whereas this one track, is smashing it.
no. Here's the thing.
Put it on my monthly playlist.
Yeah, but no. Here's the thing. I'm like, okay, I feel like it's not bad songs. It's more so songs that didn't necessarily resonate as much as all his other songs. So it's like, no, and he's not really talking to me on this one. But he's doing his thing. He's doing his thing, but he's not talking to me. Or maybe how I'm feeling that it's like, ooh, dude, you rude. Damn. No, I'm joking, but like, he's sick. But like, that's an example of whereby there's a few songs where I unlike.
Yeah.
Like maybe like 2 or 3, which isn't bad, but it is just.
Yeah.
Or if I don't like a skit in an album.
Yeah.
There's some good ones, and then there's some really
Hit and
terrible
miss with a
ones.
skit.
Yeah. So if it's a terrible one, it's like, why did I get this? But I find that out after I listen to the album.
Yeah.
Because if it works with the album, it's gonna stay.
Yeah.
Right? Because I feel like whenever I then go back to listen to the album, I'll be like, oh, there's a skit here, something's missing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But maybe there's something to it, but like I don't really watch new shows. I don't really have the time. The last thing I watched was Archer, and that's because we randomly watched like 3 episodes here, and I was like, this is kind of funny. So I watched that, and it was like over Christmas. Usually I don't have time to watch something new. Listening to an album, I feel like requires the same level of concentration as watching something, because I'm trying to listen to exactly why you've done what you've done. Whereas if it's like an album that I kind of know, or it's been listened to like with us a lot of times, I feel like it's easier to like slip back into it. Whereas a new album feels like it just takes a lot of energy, which sometimes, like Sundays are a great day for a brand spanking new album. To be fair, I would kind of like a Sunday album from all of you, just to spend the day just sort of like listening to the inside of your brains.
Yeah.
But there's parts of albums that I absolutely love. Like which album is it? Flower Boy.
Yeah.
And you know me some Tyler. Lil Wayne's track on that one. I can't remember the name of it. Is there any point trying to Google this right now? There's a track on it. Basically, there's a track on it. Name I can't remember. I can put it here.
Yeah.
But he was basically given the album name of Flower Boy and was told to like react to that. Do whatever you want to. So it's just track. Lil Wayne's in it. No one else is in it. Here's the beat. Here's the theme. React to it. Oh my god, it's just so cool. It's just the amount of like flower references that are in there.
Yeah.
Is just so beautiful. So there's parts of albums and little like hidden gems in albums I absolutely love, but it's just starting a new one, which is that's the hardest part for me. Is like, okay.
But I feel like now that goes to how we actually rate music and what you listen for. So certain albums, if it's sonically good, you don't necessarily have to be attentive.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If it's just sonically good, you can just like have it in the background. That's also high ratings. If as a musician you do that, I highly rate it. Like me personally, it's like I think it's very good because it's like I can have it in the background. That's why there are certain default rappers that I have, like the likes of Nas. I can have that in the background just like bumping my head. Or whenever I'm like, he's saying some things, you know, exactly. So that goes in the rating of the album. So it's like some of the songs, I'm gonna listen to the album. I'm like, you know what? Even sonically, it's just it's not hitting, so that will come out.
Yeah.
So I like even if I'm not rating it or whatever right now, that will.
I don't like that sensation musical. It's not disappointment, but it is disappointment.
Yeah.
And then sonically is one thing, but then it just brings you back to Vince always.
Vince, his.
Oh, but because I was like, Vince, like
He's
the most
making it a
innocent soul.
staple.
What's that track that we were talking about a couple of weeks ago? When Sparks Fly. Like I had never actually listened to that track.
Yes. Yeah, you know.
I had just listened to him talking about this girl that he loves, and he's like, listen. If you listen to it, and that's why it's moments like that like it takes concentration to take on an album.
But see, you're still vibing, though. You're still enjoying it.
100%. And then you realize there's a new layer.
Yeah. It's like, that's the beauty of it. Like that.
It's beautiful, but at the same time, it's like,
that's when you know.
How did I not catch that?
Like, those are the artists, in my opinion, that I highly rate. If I can have it in the background without being married to it, and it can, when I do marry to it, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Did you just do that?
Yeah.
That's when I think, this is a great album. This is a song that qualifies to be kept in the playlist if it meets those requirements.
And those are the requirements. That's such a nice breakdown of like how to kind of evaluate music sonically, so you can listen to it from afar, and then when you get up close and personal, it hits at a different level. Vince Staples does that back to back.
Yeah. Oh no, he's
back to back with that. Yeah. Big respect. Love him.
Yeah. And then I guess on the last note, we're gonna say book, even though we touched on it. What's it called?
The Concise Laws of Human Nature.
Concise. That's quite good.
It's not the most concise.
I was gonna say that's quite like
title.
To be fair,
the Concise Laws of Human Nature. The Concise Laws of Human Nature, and then I've been told that like you're not supposed to start with that book, which just makes me be like, that's probably the only Robert Greene book I'm going to read then. But you don't start
I've heard his name before.
Yeah, is he problematic in some way? Because I've not researched the author until I finish the book. I don't want to know about the author.
Name before. Like I'm looking over at my books. He's
written Laws of Power, Laws of
the 48 Laws.
Yeah.
Oh, it's yeah. Okay, because I watched one of his interviews with I think it's this dude is called Daniel Huberman. David Huberman, and like he also did the one with why am I forgetting the legendary producer
Rick Rubin.
Yes, I sent a snippet on our group chat. Yeah. He did an interview with him.
I love Rick Rubin so much. Bloody hell.
He's so calm.
Can we just take a few breaths together?
I love to just kick
and
with
his
him.
interior designs get
he's one of those people that I just like to kick it with, and we ain't gotta speak. Just chill. Just eat
some fruit.
Just chill. Like kick back.